আজকে বেশ ঠান্ডা। Today we'll talk about cervix. We know about cervix, which is a gynecological organ, over nearly 2000 years, since the time of Hippocrates. Hippocrates was the father of medicine. However, cervix, which is only 2.5 centimeter long, can create a havoc in women's body and health. Sometimes we thought that what's the point of learning about this such a small organ in women's body? Reality is basically that nothing else perhaps in the women's body creates so much of trouble apart from, of course, some breast problems in women's body. So today we are going to learn about cervix, about what it does, so that you can help yourself and you can also help member of your family or friend. Let's dive in. All women have got cervix. It came from Latin into English. Cervix means neck. Actually, it is meant to be the neck of the uterus, as if the uterus is a head and cervix is its neck. However, this area is very significant. Every hour in India, we lose about 7 to 8 women per hour in cervical cancer. This is the data that we have got in our hand, and it is suspected that very many women are still dying without being recorded in our data. Apart from that, the cervix can cause lot of other bleeding problem, bleeding after intercourse, and various other health issues as well. And it can be a cause of troublesome discharges as well. Cervix basically is the connection between the uterus and vagina, which remains reasonably closed until at that particular time when baby is being born. A narrow passage travels through the cervix from bottom to top. That means from vagina towards the uterus. This narrow passage is known as cervical canal. This canal is like a guard between outside and inside of female body. The way our body guards this canal is absolutely amazing. Normally, a thick jelly-like material keeps the cervical canal blocked. Around the time of ovulation, because of hormonal activity, the secretions within the cervix becomes quite fluid so that the sperm can swim up to go to the uterus and fallopian tube to meet the egg. It's almost like a gate opens for the sperm to enter. Other days, secretion of the cervix remains quite thick so that non-friendly bugs or bacteria from vagina find it difficult to go up into the uterus and cause infections. During menstruation, the blood comes out from the uterus and travels through this tunnel into the vagina and then to the outside body as a period blood. During pregnancy, cervix becomes quite soft, but still stays firmly closed in order to retain the baby for 10 months of pregnancy. Around the time of vaginal delivery, under the influence of various hormonal influences, cervix becomes so soft and stretchy, and it widens up and so that the baby can glide out through the birth passage from the uterus, through the cervix, into the vagina and out to the world. Cervix has got two ends. The lower side, that means the side facing the vagina, is known as ectocervix. Ectocervix can be visible through the vaginal examination quite readily, and pap smear is taken from this part of the cervix. And the cervix, which continues as uterus towards the top, remains hidden from vision. This is endocervix or internal cervix. Endocervix cannot be checked by pap smear. Today we are going to use an example using a small water bottle. Gosh, it looks like the water bottle is made by K.C. Das. I had rasgullas, but I didn't had K.C. Das water. Anyway, so this is the water bottle. Suppose this is the uterus and this is the neck of the uterus, which is the cervix. I hope the water doesn't drop down. Anyway, so the baby stays here. The cervix is here. This is the area which remains closed so that the baby can stay within this area for 10 months. This cervix, as I said, has got two parts. One is the ectocervix, because this area, which is, now let me just get a, now this is uterus and this is cervix again, and let's create, so basically the cervix stays like this. Now, when we do the pap smear, the doctor or the instrument goes out through here. So effectively, through the vagina, we can see the part of the cervix which is looking into the vagina. This is called ectocervix. As I said, there is another part of the cervix which actually is towards the uterus. That means this end of the cervix. This area is known as endocervix or inside cervix. Pap smear checks the ectocervix, which, by the way, is the most important area because most problems starts at the ectocervix. But pap smear cannot check the endocervix. This is something we need to remember as a gynaecologist. Now I will tell you something very interesting which I learned when I went to medical college. This ectocervix faces the vagina, and vagina is full of acidic material. There are a lot of bugs and bacteria, friendly bugs and bacteria, which keeps the environment of the vagina in a very acidic pH. It's quite acidic actually. But the part of the cervix which faces the vagina is meant to deal with the harsh acidic environment. However, the inside of the cervix, which is the cervical canal, this area cannot withstand the acidic environment. And this is very important because now we are going to understand how and why the understanding cervix is so important for a woman in her life. The outside, just to recap, the outside cervix, ectocervix, is facing the vagina, and this area is covered by tough tissues. The inside of the cervix, which is the cervical canal, is made up of very delicate tissues, which is in our language is known as columnar cell lining. You don't have to remember all these medical jargons, but what is important that if this inside area of the cervix gets exposed to the acidic vaginal environment, cervix cannot deal with that very well. Eventually, if there is a presence of certain virus known as HPV virus, when the internal lining of the cervix gets exposed to the acid and really cannot handle it, this virus can further injure the cervix and cervical cancer starts. At least the precancer starts. This area of the cervix where the internal delicate area can sometimes get exposed to the outside vaginal acidic environment, there is a very fascinating name. It's called transformation zone. In doctor's language, it is known as TZ, which is very important. HPV can affect 3 out of 4 women in their lifetime. It is very common. It does not give any symptoms. So we cannot find out who has got HPV and who does not have HPV by looking at their symptoms. But certain types of, or rather subtypes of HPV can be notorious for causing cervical cancer. Fortunately, we have got a very easy mean to check the health of the cervix or the transformation zone. This is known as pap smear. Through the vagina, the doctor sees the outside area of the cervix, which is known as ectocervix, and takes sample from the outside cervix and the transformation zone. The pap smear can reveal precancer or cancer cells on the cervix. If the test is done regularly, science can very easily pick up abnormal cells, and with a small procedure, the abnormal cells can be removed. Women can keep their cervix and uterus and mostly can return home the same day even after having that treatment. A war won. Hope we could add some value to your knowledge today. A lot of women will say that I wish I knew this earlier, but it's never late. You came to know today. So let this message spread around your friends and family members and within your colleagues and everyone you can think about. This is so important. Sometimes we think that the cancer is uncommon. It is not. Particularly cervical cancer in India is very common, and there are ways and means to treat that very effectively. Even with keeping the uterus and cervix for the rest of your life, you do not need to have a hysterectomy if it gets detected early. So, know the knowledge. The problem of the cervix is exceedingly common. I hope it helped you. Thank you and bye for today.